Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to my YouTube page. I wanted to read something from the Quran, especially involving alcohol and the poison that it commits here in the first, for some of us, the first day of Ramadan, to remind people the importance of avoiding things like alcohol and the reason we steer clear of intoxications. So this is the Quran 4:43. O believers, do not approach prayer whilst intoxicated, until you are aware of what you say, nor in a state of full impurity, unless you merely pass through the masjid until you have bathed. But if you are ill or a journey or have relieved yourself or been intimate with your wives and cannot find water, purify your souls with clean earth, wipe your face and hands, and Allah is ever present, pardoning and all forgiving. Now, this is an important point to mention because we are reminded time and time again to avoid alcohol because of how incredibly damaging and how toxic it really is. Now, Allah has mentioned that there is good and there is evil in alcohol, but the evil weighs prolifically above the good. And this is important to mention because the evil that alcohol does is insidious. And I cannot stress enough about how incredibly damaging alcohol is. It has a generational level of damage. My grandfather suffered from it, my father suffered from it. And way before I turned to Christianity, and probably one of the key reasons Christianity structured my life away from alcohol, and then I led to Islam, how incredibly damaging alcohol physically is. Few people understand that generational trauma can come from alcohol. It's more insidious, destructive, and harmful than any other form of substance I've ever known. Drugs will only kill you. And that's brutal to say that, but I'm going to just bareface it. Drugs can only kill you. Some of the stronger drugs can affect your child, but alcohol can affect your grandchildren. So when you're standing there and you're drinking, you're having fun, and you realise you can take it, and maybe your white gory girlfriend can take it, fair enough, maybe you can. And when you see what your son does, and then you look in the eyes of your grandchild, and he has a deformed liver, deformed pancreas, problems with alcohol poisoning. Alcohol is a generational destroyer. It will annihilate entire family lines. And this is why I constantly remind all the young brothers, reverts or otherwise, steer clear of the greatest poison in the Western world, because it isn't what is illegal, it is what is legal and permissible in the West that will do more damage to you than anything that is illegal. Because what is illegal, people tend to try and avoid, normal people do. The stuff that's legal is the far more deceptive. And alcohol is one of those poisons, one of those destructive things. 20 billion pounds a year is made on alcohol consumption sales. 20 billion in taxes. I don't think that's the actual how much the companies earn. I'm talking about what taxes. Taxes earn 20 billion a year. This should tell you how prolifically destructive alcohol is. That a country like the United Kingdom makes 20 billion pounds a year on taxation of alcohol sales. Regime. It is such an insidious subject. It does incredible levels of damage. The next levels of damage to the point where you ask yourself how or why.
تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون ولا جنبا إلا عابري سبيل حتى تغتسلوا وإن كنتم مرضى وكفى بالله وليا وكفى بالله نصيرا من الذين هادوا يحرفون الكلم عن مواضعه ويقولون سمعنا وعصينا واسمع غير مسمع وراعنا ليا بألسنتهم وطعنا في الدين ولو أنهم قالوا سمعنا وأطعنا واسمع وانظرنا لكان خيرا لهم وأقوم ولكن لعنهم الله يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا
The way that is so beautifully put, it just kind of hits you like a train when you listen to how Arabic is spoken in such a beautiful measure and has an unquestionable way of making clear the message you need to be made. Alhamdulillah for where we are in this world. Clinging towards your deen as if it was a coal rock. It's important. It's an important part to remember. Please steer clear of alcohol. It is a beyond all other forms. If there is any intoxication that you ever learn how bad it is, it took my grandfather, it took my father, it would take me if I was still drinking the way that my father and grandfather did in their 20s and 30s and 40s. Both men did not live past their 60s. This is a very clear indication of why alcohol is incredibly destructive. Alhamdulillah.